These are the top things every dad should be buying at Home Depot 2025. But almost no dad actually does. Not because you're inexperienced, not because you're careless, but because you've been conditioned to chase the wrong deals. Deals that look exciting, feel urgent, and then quietly collect dust for the rest of the year. That tool set you swore you'd use every weekend? It's sitting in the back of a drawer right now, aging like a forgotten time capsule of good intentions. And whether you admit it or not, every dad has been there. That's exactly why you're here now. So prepare yourself, because the first thing every dad should be buying this year is the last thing most dads ever think about. Let's begin. The toolbox revelation. Every dad thinks his toolbox is good enough. Not amazing, not organized, not perfect. Just enough to get the job done. It's that quiet confidence we carry, the belief that if something breaks, we'll be ready. That if something needs building, we can figure it out. That what we've got is fine, good enough for the job, good enough for now. But good enough is how everything starts to fall apart. Because here's what most dads won't admit, even to themselves. That same toolbox we've been relying on for years has slowly become our biggest blind spot. And one day, without warning, it hits you. You're in the middle of a simple fix. A loose hinge, a wobbly chair, a faucet that won't stop dripping. And you reach for that one tool you absolutely need. The socket, the bit, the driver. And it's either missing, broken, or the wrong size. You check another drawer, then another. You find 3 versions of something similar, but nothing that actually works. What you do find is a graveyard. Half-functional screwdrivers, bent wrenches, and cheap tools that should have been thrown out years ago. That moment of frustration is not just about the tool. It's about the lie you've been telling yourself. That you're equipped, prepared, and ready for anything. But deep down, you know what that drawer really is. A box full of lost time, wasted weekends, and cheap Black Friday deals that never should have made it home in the first place. Because most dads don't fail projects due to lack of ability. They fail because the tools they trusted were never good enough to begin with. Those giant holiday tool bundles with 70, 80, or 100 pieces look impressive in the moment. Until you realize 90% of what's inside is filler. Bits that snap, sockets that duplicate, tools that break under pressure, and confidence that breaks right along with them, and it hurts, not your hands, your pride. That feeling when you can't finish a job because your equipment wasn't up to the task. That moment when frustration takes over, and suddenly the project is no longer about the hinge or the faucet. It's about you questioning whether you're cut out for this. But the truth is, you were always capable. You just weren't equipped. That's why this year must be different. Because the smartest thing every dad should be buying at Home Depot during Black Friday 2025 isn't another flashy power tool. It isn't the biggest box, the most pieces, or the loudest packaging. It's the foundation, the tools you should have had from the very beginning. A real ratchet and socket set that won't let you down. Wrenches that fit, grip, and don't round off when pressure hits. Screwdrivers with weight, balance, and bite. Pliers that don't slip, hex keys that don't bend, and a set of core essentials that are guaranteed for life. Tools that feel solid in your hand, instead of flimsy and disposable. Because when your tools work, you work better. You move with confidence. You start projects without hesitation, and finish them without frustration. You stop patching things and start fixing them right the first time. This isn't about convenience. It's about identity. A dad with the right tools isn't just prepared. He's dependable, capable, and confident. He doesn't just build things. He builds belief in himself. And that's why this Black Friday can't be about chasing the biggest bundles. It has to be about building the right foundation. Not how many tools you own, but whether the ones you do own can be trusted. Because once you finally upgrade that foundation and stop relying on a drawer full of mistakes, something else becomes very clear. Your tools aren't the only thing that need upgrading. There's still one more place keeping you from becoming the dad you're trying to be. And it's where every tool lives. The garage transformation. Every dad wants a garage that feels like a command center, a place that inspires focus, that invites action, a space where every tool has a place, and every weekend project starts with momentum, not confusion. We imagine it often, that clean, efficient garage where you walk in, flip on the light, and just know you're about to get something done. But for most dads, that vision is fiction, because the reality we live with is something else entirely. We step into our garages and are immediately hit by chaos. There are boxes from 2 summers ago we never opened, a shelf that collapsed last winter that we swore we'd fix, tools in random corners, cords tangled in a way that defies physics, and a workbench we haven't actually worked on since the last time we said, "I'll clean this up tomorrow." And tomorrow never came. It's not just clutter, it's mental weight. It drains you the moment you walk in. It makes everything feel harder than it should be. It kills your motivation before you've even started. That's the power of disorganization. It doesn't just slow you down, it makes you question if starting is even worth it. But here's the deeper problem. We don't see the garage as the first project. We treat it like the last. We think, once I buy the right tools, then I'll figure out the space. But that's backward, because a chaotic garage will sabotage even the best tools. The greatest socket set in the world is useless if you can't find it. That brand new drill means nothing if the battery's dead and buried under a pile of drop cloths and winter gloves. And yet, every Black Friday, we do it again. Dads rush into Home Depot, chasing power tools and bit sets, ignoring the very section that could change everything. We overlook storage. We skip the systems. We walk past the one aisle that would actually make the rest of the year easier. Why? Because storage doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't have LED lights. It doesn't promise 80-piece combo sets. It's practical, and practicality doesn't trend. But this year, 2025, the dads who get it are doing it differently. They're starting with structure. They're buying their garage back. They're walking straight to the storage section, not because it's trendy, but because it's transformational. Because they're tired of wasting time searching for a tool they already own. Because they're done stepping around the same mess week after week, feeling like a stranger in their own space. Because this time, they're building their garage like it matters. Because it does. And when it's done right, the garage becomes something entirely different. It becomes a sanctuary, a prep zone, a reset button for your whole week. You walk in, and instead of feeling stress, you feel ready. That clarity, that sense of control, carries over into everything else. Your attitude, your focus, your momentum. You work faster, cleaner, more confidently. Not because your skills improved overnight, but because the battlefield is finally yours. You've got a system, a rhythm. You know where everything is. You know what you have, what you need, and what you're building. That's what the right storage does. It's not just about shelves or boxes. It's about energy, about efficiency, about respecting your space and yourself. And once you finally reclaim it, you realize something else. You've built the foundation. You've taken control. And now, you're ready to choose your weapon. Because the next decision isn't about where your tools live. It's about which tools are worthy of living there. The power tool crossroads. Every dad reaches a moment when a decision must be made, not about whether to buy a tool, but which path to commit to. Red or yellow, Milwaukee or DeWalt, sometimes green, sometimes orange, but always a choice. And it's never just about color, because once you've claimed your garage, once your foundation is solid and your systems are in place, the spotlight turns to what you're going to build, what you're going to fix, what you're going to finally stop putting off. And that's when the power tool aisle starts to feel more like a battlefield. It's overwhelming on purpose. Dozens of kits, combo packs, flashy claims, torque numbers you don't fully understand, and batteries that somehow cost more than the tools themselves. They want you confused, because confusion leads to hesitation, and hesitation leads to grabbing the biggest box for the lowest price, whether it's what you actually need or not. But not this year. Because this Black Friday isn't about falling for another 3-piece deal that includes a flashlight you'll never use and a drill you already have. This year, it's about intention. It's about knowing where you're headed and choosing the tools that will actually get you there. And that starts by accepting a hard truth. You don't need every tool. You need the right tools. And you need them to work together, to share power, to stay charged, to stay relevant for the next 5, 10, 15 years. That's why this choice matters more than it seems. You're not just picking a brand, you're picking a system, a tribe, a long-term commitment. Milwaukee? That's for the dad who wants no excuses, built for power, durability, and speed, M18 and M12. Cordless domination. You pay more, but you feel the difference every time you pull the trigger. This is the brand for the dad who doesn't want to wonder if his gear can handle it. He just knows it will. DeWalt? That's tradition. That's legacy. That's American job sites and yellow cases that last longer than most cars. Reliable, consistent, and engineered for the long haul. DeWalt isn't always flashy, but it's never a mistake. And for many dads, that's what matters most. Ryobi? That's strategy. That's value. It's for the dad who wants range, tools for the garage, the yard, the car, the campsite, 1 battery, 100 tools. Do they last as long? Maybe not, but for the price, for the reach, for the everyday warrior, Ryobi has become something no one saw coming, dangerously efficient. Each brand has its voice, its culture, its identity. The question isn't which one is best. The question is which one fits you. Because once you choose, you're not just buying tools, you're buying freedom, efficiency, momentum. You're cutting your build time in half. You're driving through the job instead of crawling through it. You're solving problems faster. You're solving more of them. You're actually finishing. And that feeling of starting a project with exactly the right tool in your hand is addictive. Because it removes friction, it removes doubt, it replaces hesitation with confidence. That's the real reason Black Friday matters. It's not about getting a deal, it's about getting unstuck. It's about taking control of your time, your effort, your outcomes. Because when the tools are right, everything else feels easier. And suddenly, the list of things you've been putting off shrinks fast. The leaky faucet, handled. The sagging gate, fixed. The shelf you promised your wife you'd build 6 months ago, already done and level. Power tools aren't just tools, they're time machines. They give you your hours back, they give you your energy back. And when you commit to the right system, you don't just buy a drill, you buy the momentum to finish what you start. But don't get it twisted. Power is nothing without control. If this is speaking your language, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's make sure every dad gets the gear he actually needs this Black Friday. And while the right drill or saw might build your weekend, the next thing you buy could protect your entire home. The smart home upgrade. Every dad avoids. Power tools make you feel in control. But smart tools, the kind that protect what you've built, are often the last thing dads think about. And that's the mistake. Because while drills and impact drivers give you the power to fix, the right smart home upgrades give you the awareness to prevent. And prevention? That's the move of a seasoned dad. One who's not just reacting to problems, but staying 2 steps ahead of them. And yet, this is the category most dads avoid. Why? Because smart home gear doesn't feel like a tool. It's digital, it's silent, it doesn't buzz or kick back or make you feel rugged when you use it. There's no sawdust, no sweat, no sense of brute force accomplishment. But here's what most dads miss. Smart home upgrades are power tools for the invisible problems. The leaks you didn't see, the break-ins that never happened, the winter night your furnace died and the only reason you knew in time was because your thermostat warned you. These tools don't just fix things. They warn you before the damage starts. And when disaster does hit, they give you the evidence. They give you control. They give you options. So why do most dads skip them? Because it feels unnecessary, too techy, too expensive, too complicated. We tell ourselves it's not worth the effort, that the old thermostat still works, that we don't need a camera on the front porch, that it'll be fine until it isn't, until the pipes freeze, until your garage is broken into, until you get home from vacation and find water pooling under the water heater that failed a week ago. That's when it hits you, that all the effort you put into tools, organization, and power meant nothing because the real problem was something you didn't even see coming. But it doesn't have to be that way. This Black Friday, Home Depot is making the smart dad's move more affordable than ever. Wi-Fi-enabled thermostats that learn your patterns and save you money. Security cameras with motion alerts, night vision, and two-way audio. Leak detectors that send notifications to your phone before disaster strikes. And lighting systems you can schedule or trigger remotely, giving your home that someone's always here look, even when you're across the country. This isn't about convenience, it's about peace of mind. It's about reclaiming the energy you used to waste worrying about what might go wrong. Because now, you'll know. And once you set it up, once you see it work, something shifts. You stop thinking of your home as something you live in, and start thinking of it as something you protect. You're not just a homeowner. You're the gatekeeper, the steward, the one who sees what others miss and plans for what others ignore. And when your home is covered, inside and out, you feel different, more prepared, more calm, more capable, because it's not just your home anymore, it's your system, your stronghold, your zone of control. And when you've finally earned that sense of safety, when your home runs the way it should, you unlock something every dad craves but rarely gets: the freedom to enjoy it. But here's the twist. Now that you've got power, order, and security, the next set of purchases are the ones that almost every dad underestimates until it's too late. The unbreakable backbone, storage, order, and the garage revolution. Every dad dreams of the perfect garage. Not just a place to park the car, but a fortress of function, a command center, a cathedral of order where every tool has a home, every shelf is solid, and every drawer slides like it's made of butter. But let's be honest, most garages don't look like that. Most of them are a chaotic war zone of cardboard boxes, tangled extension cords, half-open bins, and that one shelf you keep telling yourself you'll fix next weekend. And that's the problem. We build, we fix, we collect. But we rarely organize with intent. And over time, clutter becomes the quiet killer of motivation. You avoid projects not because you don't want to do them, but because finding the right wrench feels like a chore. You can't fix what you can't find. And you can't feel like the king of your castle when your throne room is a disaster. But here's the truth that hits hard. A disorganized garage is a reflection of distracted energy. It's the mental tax you pay every time you waste 10 minutes searching for that bit set, that battery, that socket adapter. And dads, especially the ones who want to take pride in their domain, can't afford that kind of waste anymore. Not in time, not in energy, not in peace of mind. Black Friday 2025 is the moment to reclaim your space. And Home Depot knows it. This year's deals on modular tool chests, stackable storage bins, wall-mounted gear racks, and heavy-duty shelving aren't just good. They're transformative. We're talking rolling husky workbenches with soft, close drawers, pegboard panels that turn blank walls into vertical command centers, and bin systems that make even the smallest nuts and bolts feel like they belong somewhere sacred. This isn't just cleanup. It's a full-blown resurrection, the kind of garage overhaul that makes you walk in, inhale deeply, and feel like a man with purpose. A place where your kids come looking for a hammer and leave with respect. A place where you don't just store your tools, you stage your next big move. And here's the best part. It doesn't take a fortune to make it happen. These are deals built for dads who want more than storage. They want pride. They want performance. They want a space that works as hard as they do. And Home Depot is finally making that level of organization accessible, not just to pros, but to the everyday dad who's ready to take control. Because once the garage is in order, something else happens. You get faster, you get sharper, you stop thinking about where your stuff is and start thinking about what you can do with it. Projects that once felt like a headache, now they're an excuse to spend time in your new domain. Your garage becomes your kingdom, your lab, your launch pad. But here's the warning: miss this moment, and another year goes by with that same sagging shelf, that same mountain of junk, that same excuse. This is your chance to flip the script. And once your garage is transformed, there's only one thing left to conquer, the place where most dads fall apart every single year. The one tool that outsmarts you. Let's talk about something that almost every dad overlooks, until it's too late. Lighting, not the fancy stuff, not the ambient Edison bulbs above the grill. I'm talking about real, reliable, rugged lighting. The kind you need when the power cuts out in the middle of a storm, when you're under the hood of your car at midnight, or when you've dropped a screw deep behind the dryer and the flashlight on your phone just won't cut it. And yet, lighting is treated like an afterthought. You might buy a flashlight once every few years, stash it in a drawer, and hope it works when you finally need it. But hope is not a plan, especially when your family is counting on you to be the guy who always has a backup plan. Here's the harsh truth. If your go-to flashlight hasn't been tested, recharged, and kept within arm's reach, it's just decoration. And those old lanterns and dim headlights we cling to out of habit, they're obsolete. The kind of light you buy once, forget twice, and then curse in the moment that matters most. This Black Friday, that changes, because Home Depot is bringing serious firepower to your fingertips. The Husky 3-in-1 utility light, with a built-in flood beam, power bank, and kickstand? It's not just a light. It's a survival tool, the kind of gear that turns a blackout into an opportunity to show your kids what preparedness looks like. The one tool that earns its place in your truck, your shop, your emergency drawer. And then there's the 2500 lumen Husky floating flashlight. Think about that for a second. Floating, in water, rechargeable, with a built-in hook and kickstand. This isn't your grandpa's flashlight. This is the kind of tool that keeps going when the storm hits, when the boat tips, when the unexpected decides to show up and ruin your evening. Why does this matter? Because lighting is more than convenience. It's capability. And in a world where too many dads are caught unprepared, grabbing the right lights now is the move that future you will silently thank yourself for. Especially when your neighbor's scrambling through their junk drawer looking for AA batteries. And you're calm, collected, and already solving the problem. And Home Depot isn't just stopping at flashlights. This year's lineup includes floodlights, headlamps, clamp lights, hybrid panel lights with battery kits, even magnifying lights for detail work. We're not just talking about power here, we're talking about clarity, visibility, control. It's easy to ignore lighting until you can't see what's in front of you. But for the dad who's finally tired of feeling unprepared, this is the Black Friday chapter that flips the script. Because the guy who controls the light controls the room. The thing dads. Buy last, but need first. Every dad believes power tools are the prize, the big reward, the top shelf stuff you earn your way into. But that belief? It's wrong. Here's the uncomfortable truth most dads never see coming. It's not the power that fails you, it's the prep. Projects don't fall apart because your drill wasn't strong enough. They fall apart because you didn't measure twice. You didn't check level. You didn't mark your cuts. You didn't inspect the stud, test the circuit, double-check the safety. In short, you skipped the essentials. And the essentials are what save you. That's why the smartest dads this Black Friday aren't running to the saws first. They're picking up the things nobody brags about, but everyone wishes they had. The gear that separates a weekend warrior from a master of the craft. Laser measurers, stud finders, multimeters, voltage detectors, work gloves that grip in the cold, safety goggles that don't fog, respirators that actually fit, knee pads that let you work longer, headlamps that leave both hands free. These are the real champions of any job, They're not glamorous, they don't come in flashy bundles, but they're the difference between a finished project and a half-finished excuse. The measuring tape that locks, the torpedo level that fits in your pocket, the chalk reel that never tangles. These are not accessories, they are armor. And Home Depot's Black Friday 2025 deals are making them more accessible than ever before. Because a dad who prepares right doesn't just build better, he thinks clearer, he works safer, he finishes faster. And that quiet confidence, that's the power no power tool can give you. So if you're still thinking that prep gear is optional, ask yourself this: what kind of dad do you want to be when it matters most? The one who reaches for the guesswork, or the one who's already 10 steps ahead? And once you understand why these are the essentials, the twist waiting at the end will hit even harder. Hit like, subscribe, and make sure the next time you walk into Home Depot, you walk in prepared.